大师专访 Tim Mondavi 再续传奇，迎来家族百年收成。
各位朋友大家好，欢迎陪我威爸一起来喝果汁。今天我特别兴奋，然后非常的英文叫做 excited， 是因为我们有一个很重量级的酒厂的庄主呢，排除万难，在疫情时间呢，一定要来台湾呢，跟粉丝还有朋友跟爱好他们家的这个酒款的粉丝们呢 say 个 hello 跟见面。他们呢，今年是进入到了第100个收成，他们的家族100年。那100年对很多的这个旧世界国家，比如说法国、意大利啦，还有西班牙，并不是一个很久的一个历史，但是确实100年是个里程碑。但重点不是它的时间的长短，而是在这时间里面的深度。所以他们创造出了加州的这个全球到现在的定位形象 ，OK， 还有他们的在加州的重要性，被号称为这个加州的教父的家庭啊。我等一下要介绍我旁边的这位好朋友呢，他领导了这个团队呢，去创造出各国顶级的摩拜酒。从哪里呢？意大利呢有我们所谓的Luce，OK， 然后呢还有另外一个这个摩拜酒在意大利叫 Ornellaia Super Tuscan， 然后在这个智利呢是 Senia， 然后呢在美国的 Napa Valley 呢是Opus One， 然后他们家族呢就是 Robert Mondavi 酒厂，那他本身呢是在这个背后呢在领导整个技术团队，他是 Mr. Robert Mondavi 先生呢第2儿子叫 Tim Mondavi。他们家族对葡萄酒的贡献跟加州的贡献是没有办法用言语来形容的 ，OK。但是呢，我很佩服他，也很尊敬，而且很感动是，他也不讲太多，他今天来到台湾就是用行动来代表他对台湾的支持，他对台湾的热爱，还要感谢台湾一直以来的粉丝们支持他们家族所酿造出来这酒款。我们就今天欢迎 Tim 来到台湾。Hi Tim。Hello,
Will. It's great to be here, Will.
Yes, and I'm so excited you're here, especially during this pandemic era. But I'm sure the fans have a lot of questions for you.
Good.
So these are the questions that we believe they would be very interested in knowing.
Good.
Especially your family is so famous and have done so much for California wines. Yeah. So we know that your grandfather came over to the States. You're Italian by
extraction.
By extraction.
Yes.
So, okay, so your grandfather came from Italy in 1906. What took him into making wine? Or the wine industry?
Well, perhaps his Italian culture.
Yeah.
In Italy, wine and food are inseparable. It is so fundamentally important to be able to enjoy a fabulous meal, lunch, dinner, with a good wine. Mm-hmm. A good wine. It doesn't have to be a great wine, just a good wine. It is a part of life. And so my family really was, my grandfather was a classic example of the American immigrant. He had to leave Italy in 1906. There was no opportunity. He came to the land of opportunity, America, in 1906, worked in the iron ore mines, and followed his brother there, who was killed in a mining accident. He went above ground finally and had a boarding house where my grandmother was a fabulous cook. And so all of the smart paisanis would be there because they valued great food and wine.
Okay.
And so that was there. But then Prohibition hit. And so what about that? Then they had to shift from being consumers to participating in making sure that they had wine for the table. Prohibition was a repression against the sale of alcoholic beverages, but because wine was, because the church, the Catholic Church needed wine for the sacraments, they said the exception to Prohibition was sacramental wine. Then doctors would say that wine is healthy and good for us in moderation, and so you could get your doctor to prescribe wine for you, get it from the pharmacist, but most importantly, each head of household was allowed to produce 4 barrels worth of wine a year, home winemaking. And so all the paisanis came to my grandfather, gave him their cold hard cash. They trusted him. He came to California to buy grapes. He went back and forth to Minnesota a number of years. But anyway, that's what got us into the wine business. Fundamentally, a love affair with wine and food as part of the central part of life.
That is very interesting. So actually, it's prohibition which really got your grandfather into the wine business.
Isn't that odd?
I know.
Just the opposite.
How ironic it is.
It's just the opposite.
Tim, this is the first time I've heard it. It's
very,
I've never really asked you this question before. We've known, I mean, our family's been partners for 35 years. But I've never, asked or have heard of this story.
I've even worked with your father.
Yes.
A long time ago.
Yes, and my father worked with you and your father.
Yes. That was great.
So very interesting. Okay. And now let's talk about your father, since you just mentioned Robert.
Yes.
What was Robert like as a father when you were growing up? I mean, just to let the fans know, Mr. Robert Mondavi is considered the godfather of California wines. He literally made Napa Valley in a way. I'm sorry that you're very humble, but I have to.
It's true. I think my father was a dynamic man. He was always going.
Yeah.
And he grew up with his father and mother that loved food, loved wine, and he worked at Sunny St. Helena Winery and then Charles Krug for 30 years, but then began Robert Mondavi in 1966. But he was so passionate about what he was doing. He was always going. A little bit like you, Will, always going, high energy and a believer in what he was doing.
Well, what he's done for Robert Mondavi Winery and for your families and for the wine industry is a lot. But how was he as a father when growing up?
Well,
behind the scene.
He was mostly gone. I have to say, he was mostly gone. But when he was there, he was very present. He was completely focused on what he was doing in every moment, and he spent that with us. So I always knew that he loved us. I always knew that he cared for us and he would provide for us, and that was fabulous. So to be able to have time with him was such a great gift and a great honor, and it was something that we loved, absolutely adored.
So, but what I'm hearing, I'm very impressed because what I'm hearing is that it's what I believe in too. It's not the time that matters. It's the depth.
Amount of time. Yes.
It's not the amount of time, but
it's the quality of it.
It's the quality within
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
We knew that he loved us. We knew that he was committed to the family, that he was committed to doing something that he was proud of. And that instilled in us a work ethic and a commitment to doing whatever we did to do it well. He would say, if you're going to dig a ditch, you should dig the best damn ditch you can, but do anything you're going to do it well and do it with pride.
That's amazing. That's amazing because I actually introduced your family just earlier to the fans that it is the 100th year harvest.
Yes.
And it is a milestone, definitely. But sometimes if you compare it to some old world families, it's not a long time.
No.
Yeah, they have 400 years, 500 years, sometimes 700.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's not the length that matters. It's the quality and the depth that it within this period of time.
Yes.
I mean, what your family and you have done in this 100 years is, I'm not trying to be over-exaggerating, but I'm just wanting to tell the truth, is that it's more than a lot of families that's done in 1,000 years. So that's not a praise, it's the truth. But anyway, so now back to you. When did you first get involved in wine?
I would have to say I first got involved in wine in utero.
Okay.
In utero.
Utero? What's
utero. That? While I was in my mother's tummy.
Okay, so in the stomach.
My family enjoyed wine with the meals, and so and ever since, I grew up at Charles Krug Winery.
Okay.
But we always had as Italian families would, a little bit of wine, a little bit of water, and we would always talk about wine and always compare it. And so it is something that wine has been a part of me since before me. So my grandfather got us going, my father took us to the stars, but it was always present. I grew up at Charles Krug Winery, so the vineyards were my playground. The winery was a fascinating playground, and it's just been a part of me.
Well, I think it's very funny. I mean, as not an outsider, but not a winemaking family, like we're more of a merchant, right? But asking this question is really just clicked, and it's like asking you, how did you learn English? It's like it's you. Sure. There's no answer. I mean,
you bathe in it. You bathe in it.
Yeah, you bathe in it. You grew up in it.
So it was always all around us.
Okay, very, very clear. I know that your father influenced you a lot. So if you could just tell me, or our friends here, how much do you learn from your father? Or maybe just one most important thing.
Oh, golly.
I know it's a hard question.
Well, I've thought about this because I think fundamentally my father was about respect. Respect for himself and respect for others. He loved people, he respected himself, and he worked hard to show regard for others, to show respect to others, and to inspire people, to inspire himself and others to go in a good path.
Okay.
A good path. So his fundamental belief in people, belief in others, and belief in himself, I think is the most fundamental lesson of life. We are social beings, and it's important that we be able to have pride in ourselves, pride in others, but then nothing great ever happens alone. You need to have a team of people that have a like-minded motivation to do something great. And that's, I think, what the theme that runs from my grandfather through to my father, to me, and I believe to my children as well.
Why you start Tim? And I think you start with your sister and
Yes.
and your father.
Yes, that's right. Well, okay, wine has, in California, has always had its ups and downs. Prohibition was a disaster in many ways, but an opportunity as well. Chaos and opportunity, isn't that the same?
Yes, yes, we have that in Chinese saying as well.
Yeah. And so, but then our goal has always been to go to the highest level at that time. But with every generation, we've been able to go ever higher, ever higher. We did grow. Not only was there prohibition, but then after Robert Mondavi Winery began, and we were able to be privately owned for the first time, then phylloxera took place. And phylloxera was a devastation to the vineyards, and economically it was a disaster. So we went on to the public market in '93 under one set of rules, and so we went public. But then later, the rules of being public changed as a result of the Enron scandal. And insiders became outsiders. We were distanced from the center of the guidance of the company. And bit by bit, my father's absolute clarity of focus was dissipated by people that didn't understand fine wine. And so ultimately we lost the company. It was taken over at the end of 2004. So all of the things that we had built were no longer part of what we did. We were brokenhearted, but fortunately we had nothing. We did not have Robert Mondavi Winery, we did not have Woodbridge, not Private Selection, we did not have Luce or Ornellaia or Masetto, we did not have our associations with Eduardo Chadwick in Chile. We did not have any of that. Wow. But so we were brokenhearted, but we had a bag of money and a lot of experience of producing wines in many parts of the world, aiming for the very best. And so I had the opportunity. It's in retrospect, it is a rare opportunity that I had at that time to redefine our ambition, where we were, how we would do it, but continue that same spirit, but step it up. And so Continuum has been able to take advantage of this fabulous opportunity at exactly the right time. So I consider myself to be very blessed in that regard, and also blessed in the fact that my children work with me at this time, and we are together with our team, our very valuable team, we are developing something that we are very proud of.
Okay, wow. That's very touching. Sorry. Okay, so that's a very interesting, not interesting, very touching story about why you started continuing with your sister and your father. So I guess the legacy should continue. So how many children do you have? Or are they involved with your business?
I have 5 children. I'm proud of all of them. They're all very different. Having multiple children allows you to realize how different we all are and how wonderful that is. But they all have wonderful hearts and great ambition. And I'm lucky that 4 of my 5 children absolutely adore wine and want, so much so that they want to make it their profession. Okay. And so I am fortunate that right now 3 of my children work with us currently in Continuum.
Okay.
My daughter Chiara, who is the artist.
Chiara is the old.
My eldest daughter's name is Carissa.
Oh, Carissa, that's right.
And Carissa is our most articulate ambassador in the marketplace.
She has your vibe, your energy. I mean, so would you say Carissa is the most closest to you? Not in terms of relationship, I mean in terms of characters.
Yeah, no. I think in many ways, all of my children have some good parts of me and not such good parts of me, I'm sorry to say. I'm delighted that they have gone beyond my attributes. So I think Carissa has even greater poise and presence, and she's so smart and so, anyway, she is fabulous. Okay. So I'm very proud of her, and she worked with us, all of my children, when they were young, worked in the vineyards and winery at Robert Mondavi Winery and Opus One. Okay. Carissa worked there most on a professional basis, even after the takeover. Okay. My younger daughter, Chiara, is the one that gravitated most towards the vineyards, and she also is the artist of our family, and she has developed the labels that we have, all of our labels, and also the story behind them is not just a pretty face, there is a meaning behind it. Many people, I'll start with Continuum, because Continuum is a shadow painting of a Cabernet Franc vine that I planted in Tokelon about 40 years ago. And Chiara, walking the vineyards, found this block that she resonated with, and she felt the energy of the vines. She feels them. And so this is called Light of the Vine. And it is intended to express the energy of the vine, and I am very proud of it. This is the 2019 vintage, so we're celebrating our 100th harvest, and we say there, Cent'anni. Cent'anni. And in Italian, when you say Cent'anni, you are wishing someone 100 years. So good health and happiness.
We have the same saying. I think it's 长命百岁. Cent'anni.
Okay.
Yes.
So
to live 100 years.
Yes. So.
Good. Oh, this is good. Okay, and then we're on Chiara. So with the labels.
So, Novicium. In fact, this is our first open of Novicium out in the world. Up until now, it's only been available at Continuum. And so now, based on your dynamism and your fabulous team, and you're looking to the future, you have wanted to share this, and we are delighted to bring it into the marketplace. So this is the first market that we have brought Novicium into.
Wow.
Based on
Honor.
because you have represented Continuum so well. And so we're very proud of that.
Thank you.
You get what we're trying to do.
Yes.
And you get what we're trying to do, and you get that what we're trying to do is the same thing you're trying to do, which is to bring joy to people in a healthy, wonderful way, have them share the joy of wine, the health of wine, and the knowledge of wine. The more you know, the more interesting it becomes. So,
Well, I learned from the best because Mondavi family, your family, is actually inspired me a lot, and the only business I've been into is wine. Yeah, so I learned a lot from the spirit, and the mindset is very important. Yeah, so yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, that's Chiara, and there's three more.
Yes.
So Chiara's the artist, and the behind
and
in the vineyard.
winemaker. She's a wine grower, and
wine
she
grower.
is all of my children are very passionate, but in different ways. And so then my eldest son Carlo is so much like his grandfather, energy that just won't stop, and always going, needing to go out, wanted to go out, and before I was ready to let him, I had to hold him back. When Continuum began, I had to clarify what my family stood for, because during the latter days at Robert Mondavi, our outside directors overused my father's good name, and it dissipated the clarity. And so they didn't know if we were going for very inexpensive wine and high volume or something at the highest level. I had to clarify that. And so we had one chance to have Continuum be recognized where we wanted, but then we had to reinforce that and reinforce that and reinforce. So I had to hold my children back from doing other things until we had clarity of that our goal with Continuum was to become a member of that first, the top gross, the first Premier Cru Class A type of thing at the very, very highest level. And we did that. But then I let Carlo go out, and he went out to something that I wanted to do too, which was to produce Pinot Noir on the Sonoma coast, which is, I am, again, very, very proud of. That separate venture that Carlo and Dante, my youngest son, have done together.
Rain.
Amazing. It is a beautiful wine.
Pinot Noir.
It's bright and vibrant. And I understand that you love their Chardonnay, which is too small a volume.
I never publicly say my favorite wine because we do represent 80 brands. But I publicly said that Rain Chardonnay is my favorite Chardonnay in the world. Yeah, but the Pinot Noir is also my favorite Pinot Noir.
And then my middle son is Dominic, and Dominic is also very artistic. He went to Parsons School of Design. Parsons School of Design.
Very hard to get
on the East Coast. And is a graphic designer. And he does a lot of our graphic arts, but he is not directly involved in wine. So he is my one child that is not directly there, but we all love each other very much, and I'm very happy that he is pursuing something that brings him joy and respect and sustains him. So my youngest child, Dante, as all of my children worked in the wineries at Robert Mondavi and Opus One, Dante was our first cellar master for Continuum, which I think is a big deal.
Wow.
It is a big deal. And now he is working with David in sales and is doing a fabulous job in that. But he also loves the wine itself. He is in all of my children are in all of it together, but they have their own special area.
Well, thank you. It's very interesting. As I always many times communicate with fans when we talk about different grape varietals. I always try to make them remember what the characteristic of the grape varietal. I will link it with celebrities. So you're a celebrity. So what grape do you think you are, and why?
Whoa. Okay.
Cab, Merlot, Chardonnay.
Well.
That would be interesting.
Okay, so a lot. I think that people have many facets. And so it's not an accident that our wine is a blend.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. You wanted me to pick one. I can't do it, Will.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So it's a blend.
But yeah, it has the strength of a Cabernet, but also the tenderness of the Merlot, the brightness of a Cabernet Franc, and the muscularity of Petit Verdot. It's all has to be in there. But my father had a wonderful saying that I think is a kick. You've heard me say this, Will, but he would say, the older I get, the more I see how wise my father was. But, and it's a little bit different from what you're asking, but he would say that a fabulous wine should have the power of a Pavarotti and the tenderness of a baby's bottom.
Okay.
And so it's multifaceted. So it is a blend. It is a blend that Continuum represents and Novicium.
Okay.
And so I would want to, I've got many different sides of me, so I'm a blend.
That's really good. That's a really good question. I mean, answer, sorry. Thank you. That's smart, wise. OK， 所以那个各位粉丝。我很谢谢你们，这次比较长一点，但是非常值得的去听，也希望说在这个过程当中，也可以了解到一个葡萄酒非常重量级的家族背后的一些故事，我觉得这个故事很值得。那也谢谢你们留下来听，如果喜欢，请订阅、按赞跟分享。我们今天来 ，Thank you Tim， 谢谢。
Will, thank you.
Mondavi 先生来到台湾
Great fun. I've loved it, and thank you for doing such a great job and representing our family so well with your fabulous team.
Yes,
thank you.
很希望你们会喜欢他的酒 Continuum， 还有唯一在全世界唯一有上市的这个新的一个叫出新的这支酒叫 Novicium。Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, 可以了。Yeah, it's good. It was very interesting. There's a lot of things I learned today. I think this is an awesome answer.